So, how did you get selected to work in NASA, or what qualifications do you require to go into NASA?
Okay. Right now at NASA, there are more than 50,000 employees, and it's composed of like engineers, scientists, and engineers. They are chemical engineers, or like me, I'm a mechanical engineers or electrical engineers. And for scientists, most of them are astronomy. They are very good in astronomy or earth science. And actually, when I applied for my job in '98, I have to get through some interviews, and they want to know what my expertise is before they make the decision.
If the scientists made a base on Mars, how would they bring the air or make the air to Mars? Like, how would they bring the air on Mars?
Oh, okay. Like in the International Space Station, uh, they brought the air like probably once, or maybe each time when a rocket carry, or before it was like a space shuttle. Now that space shuttle no longer operates, you know that, right? So now it's rockets. When they say when they send the spacecraft rocket to the space station, they probably get some refuel, but that's far from enough. So on that space station, no, not only do they recycle water, they have to recycle air. They have a way to when we breathe out, it's most of them is carbon dioxide, right?
Yeah.
They have a way to turn that back into oxygen.
What do you think about the Mars trip? Is there a possibility that will succeed? Or is there a high possibility that will succeed?
I think we will eventually succeed, but it probably still gonna take decades, in my opinion, because you know what? So far, we have sent like a lot of rovers or landers to Mars, but we haven't retrieved any of them. So, I believe the first step is going to send something to Mars and collect some samples and bring the sample back to Earth. If we can successfully do that, then we will have confidence to send people there and bring them back. So, because we don't want to leave them there, right? Okay.
Oh, wait, can you turn off the screen so we can see your face?
Turn off the screen?
Yeah.
You mean the my stop sharing my screen? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, how about I'm spending too much money? You should also make a video.
Like that?
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
So,
how do people study the basics of space exploration and space? How do people study the basics of safe exploration in space?
So how do they learn how to keep keep the people safe?
Okay. I think it's through a lot of analysis and experience. You probably don't. No, you were not even born when the space shuttle Challenger explode.
Yeah.
And it's basically because of some people ignore some very dangerous sign. And it's a very small part. We call it O-ring. That's something we use to prevent leakage. And that O-ring somehow failed during launch, and the fuel leaks and eventually explodes. And so we have to be very, very careful when we send people out. And people on those rockets very much like sitting on a very big explosive.
So why do people launch the rockets, and how do people update the technology on it?
How the first one?
How do people launch rockets?
Oh, launch. Okay. Basically, they use a lot of, like I said, explosive. When a rocket is launched, it's like a controlled explosion. So basically, that's the idea. And through a lot of experiments and analysis, we make sure it's very, very safe before we send people out.
Also, like, could you update the technology on the rockets, or how would you do that?
Actually, for rockets, right now the technology is quite mature. But like currently some industry, private sector, like a company called SpaceX, they are trying to build rockets that can be reused. Like it used to be like when you launch the rocket, like the first stage, it just slammed back to Earth, usually to the ocean, and it's no longer reusable. But right now they try to reuse it, and they can make a very soft landing of that used part, so we can reuse it and save a lot of money.
Why do you think people disagree that humans actually landed on the moon?
I think that's because back in the 60s, I was like in that I remember it was in 69, and I was only like 5-6 years old. I remember my father gathered all the family together sitting in front of our black and white TV to watch the landing of human being on moon. And it's so blurry, I have to tell you, I didn't see anything. And I think because of the technology was not that good, and people didn't get to see a very clear image or video of it, so they tend to suspect. And also it drew a lot of attention, right? So a lot of scientists look at the details of this program. They came up with a lot of questions. I would say some of questions are not really answered. That's why there's still till now there's some suspicions. But if, like, I know Japan is sending astronauts to the moon, if they can find the national flag, United States flag there, that's a very good proof, right?
Yeah. Okay. Is the regular fuel is rocket fuel more complicated than regular fuel?
Yes. For the rocket, they don't use liquid fuel like gas. They use some solid fuel. like they have to high pressure it and lower the temperature. So like even the oxygen is in solid state. So it's a lot more complicated than the gas we use for our cars.
So how do you contain it, or like what do you use to keep it?
Basically, you just need to build a very strong container. Like I said, we need to do a lot of analysis. That's actually what I'm doing. I'm a structural analyst. When a designer design a structure, I analyze it, make sure it's strong enough before we fabricate it. And then after we fabricate it, we have to do a lot of experiments, make sure that it's really strong enough.
Okay. If people like scientists and explorers and astronauts could see the future, what do you think you would see?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
If people like scientists, explorers, and astronauts could see the future, what do you think you might see?
The future of space technology.
Okay. I think first I really like to see a space station, that's station on Moon. And then I really like to see people going to Mars next.
That's all our questions.
Is it okay to record?
Is it okay to record your interview?
That's okay.
Do you have any more questions?
I've heard that people use lots of money on space exploration, and do you think that it's supposed to be worth it, or is it just?
Or should we spend it on poverty around the world?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Even in nowadays in the United States, still some people think that the money we spend on space is not really doesn't really return anything. But first, my argument is that, like I have shown you, a lot of technology spin off from space technology. It benefits a lot of people. Next thing I want to mention is that, like for NASA is one of the federal government, right? Its budget compared to other department is like really like peanut. So if we can spend a very small portion of money and benefit people, and also it kind of opens our eyes. Let's see the space.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.